You're listening to the Accelerator Network Show.
Everyone, welcome to the Accelerator Network Show. Today we're going to be talking about Warren Buffett and the Berkshire Hathaway annual shareholders meeting of 2020. And this is going to be just an overall summary and important points here. This is the first presentation that the Accelerator Network will give on YouTube. And it's just something new that we're going to be doing. And we hope that everyone is able to learn and gain some knowledge from this YouTube channel. And obviously, if you find this information useful, hit that like button, give a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit those dings. And I hate saying that because I hear it all the time on YouTube. It just sounds ridiculous. But hopefully I won't have to even say that in the future. The information will just be so good that you guys will just like and subscribe, and I don't even have to ask for it. So anyways, let's get back to the information. I made some just basic notes on what Warren Buffett was talking about. And it was, it was not a normal meeting. They were in a auditorium that was completely empty. Charlie Munger of 96 was not there. He's normally there on stage with Warren Buffett. And, Warren just came out and said right away that he's not an expert of biology. And thanks to Dr. Fauci and his good friend Bill Gates, he's very informed on this information that he normally would not have because these guys can work tirelessly. So obviously everyone knows that Warren Buffett is good friends with Bill Gates, and they've obviously been on the phone, and they've been talking about the situation. And another thing that he said is that the Federal Reserve did the right thing, but in the long term, we don't really know what the effects of this are going to be. And one of the major things that have come out from this is that Warren Buffett has told Berkshire Hathaway to completely divest from the 4 airlines that they own. They didn't trim their shares, but they completely exited those markets just because, he said it was his mistake to be there, and they don't really know what's going to happen. There's going to be, he said, point A, they don't know long-term what will happen with this situation being, happening right now. And B, there's too many planes around. And C, we shut off air travel in this country, and we don't really know what the long-term psychological effects of that are going to be. So let's get into the meeting. He first off says, this is quite an experiment. We may know the answers to questions that we're asking fairly soon. So he alluded that we might find out what's going to happen really quick. And what Warren knows is nothing can stop America. That was one thing that he really talked about, is that the American spirit is alive and well, and that nothing can really stop us. We have faced great problems in the past, and we've faced tougher problems, but the American magic has always prevailed. And if you were going to pick, this is a little story that he said, if you're going to pick a time to be born, you would not pick 1720, you would not pick 1820, you would not pick 1920, you would pick today in 2020, and you would pick America. And that kind of made me wonder, yeah, you would pick 2020, but why wouldn't you pick 2120? Maybe 2120 or 2220 is even better than it is now. So that's one thing that just kind of made me think about that. But 2020, you'd pick today, obviously, over 1920. We have so many more technological advances today than what they had in 1920. And we are a young, wealthy country. The American statistics from Warren Buffett were, in 1790, we had a population of 3.9 million. 1789, the wealth of the country was estimated at $1 billion. And this is a wild guess from Warren Buffett. He doesn't really know that as a fact. And the wealth of the country in 2020 is probably about $100 trillion. So that's 5,000 for one in real gains. So if you would have invested, $1 back in 1789, you would currently have $5,000 today. And he quickly went into a recap of the Great Depression. which is interesting because he focused on the dead cat bounce recovery of fall of 1930. People thought that just a recession had occurred in 1929 to 1930. They were up 20% from the 1929 lows, and it was not really apparent that the U.S. was headed towards a depression. But then from 1930 to the 1932, the market really dropped. The Dow Jones Industrial Average went from 245 down to 41. And if you had invested $1,000, you would have been left with only $170 in less than 2 years, and none of us have experienced something like that. So it took the market 20 years to get back to the 1929 amounts of 245. And he went right into another story that said that, right when it came back in 1954, he had the best year in the stock market, and it went from 245 to 400, and people were thinking, oh no, we're going to have another Great Depression because the market is it's overall overpriced. And but he did talk about what went wrong in 1929. This is interesting because we always kind of think that we're in a market crash like 1929. And in 1929, they didn't have FDIC protection. And this is basically, an insurance policy that banks have that they have to pay into. This is not something that taxpayers pay. It's something that banks pay. And it's a very small amount that they keep in reserve at the FDIC that will bail out a bank that basically can't pay out their patrons. When somebody comes to withdraw money from the bank, it's not there, so they have to go to FDIC to bail this bank out. Instead of having a bail-in, the bank gets bailed out, and a bail-in is basically, sorry, we don't have your money, tough luck. So, I agree with the FDIC. I think it's a good thing. The problem is if all the banks fail at once or a large portion of the banks fail, it's just not going to be enough. So that's kind of the issue with the FDIC. It's a nice thing to think about. It's a nice thing to have. But at the same time, it's probably just not enough. If something really happened like 1929 again, it would work for a while, but then ultimately it probably wouldn't work. Warren Buffett's point is never to bet against America. There's a lot of guys that talk about investing in foreign stocks, but the point that Warren was trying to drive home was never bet against America. This might be a 1929 again. He brought up the 1929 in this presentation for a reason, because we might be in a similar period, and our system and people will be tested. But he's either saying this, or he's saying that we always think we are back in 1929 again. Like I said before, when bad things happen, it's part of the American psyche. You say 1929 to anybody, and they immediately know what you're talking about. We always think we have built another house of cards. So we're thinking today, oh no, the market's overpriced. We're in so much debt. It's a house of cards. And we thought that in 1954. It was another time he mentioned that. He questioned the ballooning market cap. The stock market was high, but it was not as high as it looks. And that's just something you got to think about, that never bet against the American spirit, and, nothing will stop America. So, really just don't lose faith in the system. There will be corrections, but we will move forward. So comment below what you think about that. Was he bringing up 1929 because that's where we are? Or was he trying to drive home a point that, you shouldn't bet against America because we always think we're back in 1929 when really we're not? But what Warren doesn't know is what the market will do. He knows America will move forward, but he's not for sure. Anything can happen in terms of markets. You can be you can bet on America, but you need to be careful how you bet. Markets can do anything. 1929 markets closed for 4 months. 9/11 markets closed for 4 days. We really don't know what we're coming into here. So, come Monday morning, he said that we'd be willing to do big deals, but we haven't seen anything good yet. So he really wants to wait. And one thing that interesting that he said that in 2008, they did some deals, and in retrospect, he was about 4 months too early on those deals. So he's probably going to wait a little bit longer this time. We're so early into this thing that Warren probably isn't going to accept any deals unless they are fantastic deals, but they're willing to make them. And markets are not acting sensibly. People are not in the position to buy single stocks. He said this, that people should be investing into a section of America. People are buying on margins, and people are not seeing nor can psychologically handle the potential market interruptions that are coming. So you have a bunch of retail investors right now that are really unable to see potentially what could happen, and they're just really not able to handle what will happen. But before I get through that, I have a few more notes. Let's see. No, I think that's it. That is all I had. Well, thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like and comment below. And obviously, I'm just going to get a lot better at doing these videos over time. And I want to do content that you guys are interested in. And I want to respond to you guys. So everything I do will be live. And I want to, basically have a dialogue with the subscribers when I do a show. I want to answer questions that you guys are asking. And hopefully things will work out really good for us. And we'll see you in the next episode.